Good evening, viewers. Today, we have the honor to host amongst us His Excellency Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik, Honorable Governor of Arunachal Pradesh. In our ongoing series on national security, we find Arunachal Pradesh a very sensitive state of the northeast. It is the largest state and it borders three countries, Bhutan, China and Myanmar. The governor has been a military man and a co-commander in one of these states. So we thought it befitting that we call him today to speak to us and the people at PIC on his experiences in Arunachal Pradesh, the challenges that it faces, the future challenges, and also touch upon the security dimensions. He would thus be speaking to us for an hour on this topic this evening. Hope you have a look at it. Thank you.
On behalf of Pune International Centre, I extend a very warm welcome to Honorable Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik, Param Vishishta Seva Medal, Uttam Yuddha Seva Medal, Yuddha Seva Medal, and all the others present here for this guest talk on Arunachal Pradesh, past, present, and future challenges. Arunachal Pradesh, located in the northeastern tip of India, holds immense strategic, cultural, and ecological importance, often referred to as Land of the Rising Sun. This state shares international borders with Bhutan, China, and Myanmar. Its unique geopolitical position, rich ethnic diversity, and developmental challenges makes it a key region in India's national security landscape, and hence deserves a deeper reflection and informed dialogue. To begin with today's guest talk, I would first like to invite Major General Nitin Gadkari, Director, Pune International Centre, to welcome and introduce our honorable guest, His Excellency Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of President PIC, Dr. Mashelkar, on behalf of Vice President PIC, Dr. Kelkar, I invite the Honorable Governor, Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik, to PIC. So it's a pleasure to have you in our campus. And thank you for coming. I also like to thank all the other audiences who have come far and from far. Thank you for coming. It's my honorable duty to introduce the governor. At the end of my introduction, you'll realize why. His Excellency, Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik, PVSM, UYSM, YSM, was appointed the governor of Arunachal Pradesh on 13th February 2023 by the President of India. His appointment as the honorable governor was a matter of great pride for all of us in the armed forces community. It was not very surprising that he was nominated the governor, as he has had many staff and command appointments in the Eastern Command. Eastern Command houses Arunachal Pradesh for the benefit of those who don't know. And that is how he was, or he is, one of the final experts on China and Myanmar. His Excellency, Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik, was commissioned into 2 Rajrif, the famous 2 Rajrif for the Tolo Link fame. But his fame started not from the battalion where he was commissioned, or before that he went to NDA, but from a school which he had joined way back in 1966. A school which boasts of today the serving Army Chief and the Naval Chief, Sainik School Rewa. The Honorable Governor has had an illustrious career in the Indian Army. He commanded 2nd Rajrif, commanded a brigade on the LC, where he got his Yuddha Seva Medal, then commanded 4 Corps, where he got his Uttam Yuddha Seva Medal. And his high point of the career came when he was appointed the Army Commander, Northern Army. It's the largest and the most challenging of all commands in India. His handling of the eastern Ladakh situation in Dipsang and Chumur has been a lesson in posterity for his successors. After a brief stint with the corporate world, the governor was summoned yet again for another national duty, this time as the governor of a state which has the largest area, which borders 3 nations, Bhutan, China, and Myanmar. Only a person of his depth of knowledge could have been chosen for such a task. And the general officer has not disappointed. He remains active in promoting the well-being and interest of his state, and he is going to talk to us today on that. He's going to speak to us on the challenges that confront Arunachal Pradesh in the past, present, and future. Before I request the Honorable Governor to take the podium, it is my privilege to trace my personal connection with the Honorable Governor. From seeing him as a senior student on the first day of my school in January of 1966, till leaving the army in 2014, the Honorable Governor has been a beacon of light and source of inspiration for me. His virtuous character, profound professional acumen, deep concern for people around him, his impeccable manners and dressing sense, and above all, his love for life and sports has inspired thousands, including me, those who have had the privilege of being with him. Despite my early start, it was only in my last rank that I had an opportunity to serve under him in Northern Command, where he was the Army Commander. Apart from all the professional exchanges that I loved, the moments I cherished most are my time with him on the golf course and his house, where he had displayed a collection of rarest of the rare spirits. And the open diktat to anyone who came was just to ask, and he will get what he wants. But I'm not sure if anyone asked for any of the rare spirits, because his hospitality was enough to intoxicate a sober man. It will take me special effort to disengage from this ideology, as I could go on and on, but that would be unfair. For I would let the audience judge for themselves. After all, they say the proof of the pudding lies in its eating. Thank you. May I request the Honorable Governor to please come on stage to deliver his talk. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. My revered seniors here, elders, veterans, friends, ladies and gentlemen, and these wonderful students who have come from the IIEBM, whom I have been visiting now and then. Such a pleasure to be here today, to be given an opportunity to speak, and that too on a subject that I am deeply involved with. So I'm sure I will try and bring features of Arunachal which are hitherto unknown to most of the people. I want to thank the President and the members of this institution, and I am so happy to see so many colleagues from various think tank groups which I was also a part of for some time. I have had a very interesting journey. 41 years in the army, 8.5, 9 years in the corporate, and now this. So it has kept my faculties running. I haven't had a good break. I didn't need a good break. This is the best thing that has happened. So whatever I have to say, I am speaking from my heart, and I am very fortunate to have been given this opportunity to go to a state which is sensitive, which requires to be molded and guided and which will at one time become one of the key states of the country when the Viksit Bharat fructifies. So let me start with showing you what Arunachal looks like. Okay, let's have the first slide. Arunachal is the largest state in the northeast, larger than Assam. And it pivots in a way that it encompasses the eastern Assam and joins borders with Nagaland to the southeast. 84,000 square kilometers of land, 80% of this land forested, which makes Arunachal as one of the 20 largest biodiversity parks of the world. It's a green state. We are living in zero pollution. It has a very high content of happiness. The people are bubbly, cheerful, they like adventure, they like sports, and they are inquisitive. The population is small, say around 14 to 15 lakhs. And if I put that into a calculation of density of population per square kilometers, it comes to just 17 people. The other very major USP of Arunachal is in the entire northeast, it is the only state which is 100% Hindi speaking. And this has come by because Arunachal has got 26 tribes and 100 sub-tribes. Each tribe has a different language. There are 4 tribes which have their own scripts. So there is no way that they can interact with each other in their languages. So at the time of independence, they took to Assamese because that was a common boundary they had with Assam. But they converted that into Arunachalese by putting their own words in between. After independence, they found solace that unless they speak and understand Hindi, there is no way they can get integrated with the rest of the India. And they did it in a marvelous way. Today they speak good Hindi, and if I have time, I'll show you 1 or 2 videos which will convince you the kind of language, tradition, and customs they have imbibed. Also, to the credit of Arunachal is the fact that it is the only state in Northeast which did not have any insurgency. All states except Arunachal had a bout of insurgencies. Some lasted small time, but if you look at Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Assam, they went on for decades. Today, Northeast is fairly quiet. And it is the right time for us to look at Northeast in a strategic manner, where developments will enable us to make it a fulcrum to reach out to the Southeast Asia as a part of the national policy of Look East, Act East. As you see that it has boundaries with Bhutan on the west, China, Tibet in the north, and Myanmar on the east. So that makes it even more sensitive because of the changes that are taking place in our strategic neighborhood. And from that point of view, all developmental activities, all governance issues, and all security issues which are important for the state, they are being meshed in. And we are trying to take everybody forward with a sense that we will remain secure, that we will provide protection to the nation from these northern borders, and we will enable development in a way that we can reach out to Southeast Asia and other neighbors. Population-wise, about 45 to 50% of the people follow, they are atheist, you can say, but they follow a religion called Doini Polo. Doini Polo, in their own language, means sun and the moon. They worship the sun and they worship the moon. I have had occasions to go to their temples and see what sun and the moon means, and I must tell you that it is 100% Sanatan Dharma. Unfortunately, like other states, at a late stage when insurgencies were on in these states, the missionaries managed to squeeze into Arunachal, and they have converted 3 or 4 tribes to Christianity. So we have almost 15 to 18% population which is Christian. The western part, some central and some eastern part is Buddhist. This Buddhism to the west came from Tibet. It is akin to what is there in Bhutan. They follow the Mahayani system or sect of Buddhism. And towards the east, they follow the Ayurveda form of Buddhism, which is also common to what is followed in Thailand. So the tribes, the Thai Kamti tribes of Nagaland are akin to the Kamti tribes of Arunachal. Let's see the developments that have taken place in Arunachal in terms of infrastructure. What you see in the red, I will call it a frontier highway, and what you see in black below that is the Arunachal highway. As late as 2015-16, there was no frontier highway. Even the Arunachal highway was not complete. Arunachal in last 5 years has constructed 4,000 kilometers of roads. And the impact is that now the Arunachal highway runs from Tawang all the way on the foothills going through Itanagar, Pasighat, Likabali, and it goes right till Longding, which is the southeastern part of Arunachal. There have been car racings on these roads. These are double-lane class 70 highways. And for those who have had a chance or those who want to visit this, it's a pleasure driving on these roads today, which when I was commanding 4 Corps, it was nowhere near this. Secondly, from this Arunachal highway, we have roads going up all the 7 valleys from west to east. And these roads have reached till the last village or the first village, as some people call it. It is a 2-lane highway. This has brought so much of relief to the people who stay in remote areas and also to those in administration who need to travel to these areas to render the help. The frontier highway was a dream. I remember in my own tenure there, we kept asking the government that, the problem in Arunachal is the villages, the frontier villages of Arunachal, they lie 20 to 40 kilometers away from the LAC. Unlike all other Himalayan states, their villages are right on the boundary. So this has a lot of implications. We have a huge area and a belt along the LAC, south of it, which is vacant. And this creates apprehensions because we know how the Chinese operate. And if they sneak in and come and sit in these areas, it will be very difficult even to find out. So these challenges of surveillance and denials of these areas is one of the major challenges for the security forces which are deployed. This frontier highway has just commenced. I have 4 BRO projects which are working on it along with NHDICL. So 5 places it is being attacked. It will go across valley, one valley to other and to other and to the other. Otherwise, anybody visiting a valley had to go to the adjoining valley, had to come down all the way, travel and then go up. And there will be a lot of tunnels in these areas. It will facilitate mobilization for the troops, deployment of vectors. It will ensure the movement of people and goods, and it will be a great advantage when the tourism really commences in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. Let's go to some historical perspectives. What you see on the left side are remains of a fort which was made of bricks. Now, if I go back in medieval times, I would like to tell you 2 things. Firstly, Arunachal has somewhat a connect with Mahabharata. Very few people would figure this out. It was during this period that a princess of a town called Bhishmak Nagar in Arunachal, in the foothills, the princess was called Rukmini. And Lord Krishna married Rukmini in Arunachal. It's a long story, but to cut it short, the Rukmini's elder brother, who was the male heir, he forced her to get married to a person who was not a person called Shishupal from the Mahabharata, if you remember who Shishupal was. And she rebelled, told her father that I won't, and she sent the state pujari all the way to Dwarka, to Lord Krishna, to say that you come and help me and take me away because he's forcing me to get married to Shishupal. Shishupal obstructed their way and they defeated him. And they went to Dwarka and the marriage was solemnized there. But before going there, they halted before exiting Arunachal in a place called Likabali. And there, Lord Shiva and Parvati came as common people and sermonized their marriage in the temple. And Lord Parvati Devi, she named Rukmini as Malini. So that place is called Malini Sthan. It's a religious place. We have excavated the old temples. A new temple has got built, and a lot of people gather here in the season. But more than this is, Gujarat celebrates and solemnizes this marriage every year in a place called Madhavpur, which is close to Dwarka and Somnath. They invite us to come and join because there is a musical extravaganza which is carried out by almost 2,000 people in an open ground, which comprises almost 60% of people from Gujarat and 40% from Arunachal. And every year this marriage is solemnized. It's a great issue of two cultures meeting at a place, so widely separated. But there are a lot of commonalities in the way we go about doing things. And that is the best part of it. What you also see, this fort is actually a part of the kingdom when the Ahoms ruled Assam. The Ahoms came from Myanmar and they befriended the tribes in the Brahmaputra Valley, and they had a run for 600 years. But over a period of time, a lot of other tribes from Myanmar wanted to also come into these fertile areas. To ward them off, the Ahoms made outposts on north and south bank of Brahmaputra. What you see, this fort here is in the north bank, and it is made of bricks. So it was known as Eta Fort. And this is exactly where Eta Nagar is today, and it derives the name from this Eta Fort. The headquarters of this fort, where it was located, is where the Raj Bhavan is today. And that is historical. Okay, let's go ahead. So after 600 years of rule of the Ahoms, the British came to India and they established these presidencies. It was Bombay Presidency, Madras and Bengal Presidency. The British were keen people who spread out in the countryside. Their sole aim was to discover where the wealth lies, what is it that they can take away from here. And so when they came to the Bengal Presidency, slowly they peeled out to the eastern areas as well. They were coming there to seek financial resources. And they slowly learned that the East is actually, it harbors and it contains oil, tea, and coal. So they started establishing their systems there along the Brahmaputra Valley. And the locals did resist. And that's when this Battle of Yangdabo took place in 1826, where they defeated the locals and they established a a council, which was the Northeast Council. And from there, they started getting into the hills areas. The first foray was into Naga hills. They later learned that Nagas were headhunters. And a small party with 2 officers, which was sent to talk to the locals and appease them, they were murdered there. So they could not reach those areas again. And the best thing they did was, instead of fighting them, they sent the missionaries there. The rest is history. Arunachal Pradesh at that time when they came was fairly isolated. It was far removed from rest of the areas. It had tribals who were inhabiting the dense interiors of the state. And these tribals had a habit of coming into the plains area in Brahmaputra and masquerading there, looting and going back. During the Ahom period, the Ahom kings realized that these tribals require resources. So they started granting them an allowance. So now what would happen? They would come there, collect their allowance and peacefully go back after buying whatever they had to. The British realized this and they too started doing the same. But they realized that this big state, which is forested, has a lot of wealth in it. The second thing they realized was that this state leads to the northern borders with Tibet or China, on Myanmar on the east and Bhutan on the west. So they felt that this would be a very good buffer for us, keeping in mind the Tsarist Russia which was expanding, and also the Qing dynasty of China, which was always in an expansionist mode, and they were making forays into Tibet now and then. As a result, they started making slow incursions into these areas, but they were opposed by the locals and tribals. And they realized that we should protect these tribals. So they made, go to the next. So they started making a thing known as the inner line. The inner line was drawn, as you see, at the base of Arunachal on the north bank of Brahmaputra. And this inner line was made to ensure that no outsider transited across this into these areas. Only they could go and come, and neither could the tribals cross over into plains areas. So while it was serving their purpose of keeping this area safe, 2 things happened. One was that the tribals who stayed in these areas, they remained isolated. There was no economic development, there was no social development, there was no contact. At the same time, they were happy that this whole buffer that was there was helping them to guard their priceless things that they were making in the Brahmaputra valley itself. But over a period of time, they realized that unless they made an outer line also, which will bracket the area, there was no survey, there were no maps, there was no information. So slowly they started getting into these areas. Now, there was a team of Lieutenant Holcomb and Major Lance. They wanted to survey the link between the Sangpo River, which flows on the borders on Tibetan side, and the Brahmaputra, because they are aware that the same part of that river joins Brahmaputra. So they meandered into these areas in the Siang district. And it was the Adi tribes which stay there. And the Adis murdered them. Now, this was a serious incident, which made the British figure out that this cannot be allowed. So the Britishers started making forays into the tribal areas, and to punish them, they burned their villages, they burned their crops. Now, that was the way the British was treating this area, not so kindly, but they had a challenge to be able to reach to the LSE area. Later on, it was called LSE, and determine the Indo-Tibetan boundaries for themselves. So slowly they made these forays, and the next time they ventured into the Siang Valley, they made a 2-pronged approach, one through the Dibang Valley and one through Siang Valley, and they were able to reach the upper extremities As you rise from Arunachal from the foothills, the terrain takes you to the watershed of Sangpo, south of the Sangpo River, which runs west to east at a height of almost 13 to 15,000 feet. So they found that this was a good barrier to hold the front line, and an outer line was also determined based on this. They commenced mapping these areas, going into various districts and trying to do survey. Now, while it was happening, the locals of this area was not happy for them to be meandering like this. And again, it was the Adi tribes which took cudgels, and they contested these people and fought with them. Go to the next slide. Yeah, so the Anglo-Boer wars were fought in 1911. Now, Boer is not a tribe. Boer is a Arunachali word for a person who is indomitable. So they were the people who the Adis called themselves Boers, and these wars continued for 3 months till they were subdued. They did not allow them a free passage, but ultimately peace was called for, and they were able to get to the northern borders. And that is when they started surveying the areas in the west and east, and slowly learnt about the various tribes and the districts that they were there. They wanted to administer this place efficiently, so they started preparing themselves to make the maps, survey the area, and make it into districts which could be administered initially by their political officers who remained there and reported to the nearest deputy commissioner. Later, when the whole thing changed, the same political officers reported directly to the Governor General. So from here you go to the next slide. So this was all happening at the turn of the 20th century. To be able to administer these areas, the Britishers created or named this area as the Northeast Frontier Tract, NEFT. And this policy got operationalized around 2014 or so. It started in 2012-13 and fructified by the time 2014, and 2014 is also the year when the McMahon line was determined through a conference in Shimla. I'll come to that. This issue of determining this Northeast Frontier Tract, they converted this area into 3 distinct tracts. One was the Central and Eastern Tract, second was the Lakhimpur Tract, and third was the Western Tract. And what are present-day districts, they fell into these 3 tracts. Now the need was efficient administration, security concerns of these areas, more frequent interaction with the tribals, and instilling a sense of discipline and a sense of governance amongst the local population, which was not easy. And this was the beginning of some form of administration that started in Arunachal way back in early 20th century. So let's come to the McMahon line. They were determined to formalize the boundary between British India and Tibet. Now around this time, what was happening elsewhere with the Tibet other than Arunachal was a lot of trade routes were opened. The Young Husband Trail from Sikkim went through the Chumbi Valley. It went to the Tibetans. We had these trade agreements. The Silk Route was opened. And a lot of activity started between Tibet and India. And from Arunachal itself, there was not much of a route getting into Tibet because the watershed was very high and it couldn't be crossed so easily. So what they did, McMahon was the Foreign Secretary of the Crown in India, and he took it upon himself to determine the boundary. So the best part was that he had two very able surveyors, Morshed and there's a friend, another gentleman by him. These two people were asked to survey these areas, and they were good surveyors, so they went right up to the LSE. They surveyed these areas, and they found that the watershed along the Sangpo River was an ideal boundary in the north, which could be determined on ground also and on map also. They also surveyed the areas on the west side for the boundary with Bhutan, and also east side where the tri-junction of Tibet, China, and Myanmar meets, up to that area where the Patkai Hills start. And their activity inspired McMahon to formally delineate this line in the north. So the entire Shimla conference, which I would say took place from 1913 to 1940. October of 13 to July of 14 was the period in which 8 long sessions were held with the representative of Tibet. And initially, what was happening in China that time was that the Qing dynasty was on the wane. And it is around this time that the People's Republic of China gained importance and took over the reins of China. It was sometimes in 1908, 1909. So Chiang Kai-shek, with his Kuomintang as they call him, he was ruling China that time. But moment he came to power, they started putting pressure on Lhasa. They wanted to get into Tibet. So the Britishers did realize that sooner or later the Chinese will occupy Tibet. So he was keen to have this boundary delineated before that could happen. So the Shimla Agreement .1, it started in October of 13, and the first phase determined the areas and the boundaries between both these. But when they called the representatives of China and Tibet, they did not come to Shimla so easily. They were waiting for each other to make a move. Then they sent a message that if they don't come, the Britishers will delineate and declare it. So they came. And the Chinese sent their representative, one Mr. Chen. He arrived along with the Tibetan representative, and they started discussing the pros and cons of these boundaries. The Chinese, during the dynastic rules, had been making forays into Tibet quite often. But Tibet had continued to be an autonomous region so far. So when these discussions took place, it was decided that the watershed will become the boundary with Tibet, and it was also decided the way the boundary would then turn southwestwards and reach till Rangya, making it the boundary with Bhutan. We had no problems sorting things with Bhutan, neither with Myanmar, because the boundary till the tri-junction was clear, and thereafter it came down south, which is bordering our eastern districts of Tirap Changlang and the Tuen Sang and Mon districts of Nagaland. And the interesting part is that phase 1 of the Shimla conference was signed by the Chinese and the Tibetan representatives. They agreed to it. It was the second phase when it started, and when nitty-gritties of the boundaries were discussed, the McMahon line passed north of Tawang in the west. While Tawang's monastery had come up in 18th century, and it was being actually heralded by the lamas from Sonazong, which was in Tibet. So the Chinese made a quip that this area cannot be part of India, it has to be part of the inner Tibet. And that's why they did not sign the final agreement. While this was happening, In 1914, when this ultimately was announced and formulated, the Republic of China was also undergoing tensions when the civil war started, and Mao Zedong and his Communist Party ultimately overthrew them, and they made Chiang Kai-shek to flee to Taiwan, or what is Formosa then. The moment the Chinese Communist Party gained control, it was very clear to the British that they will come and occupy Tibet. So they started planning as to what could and should be done. Now, by this time, from 1914-15 to 1919, the First World War started. So the British got involved, and they were more concerned of what is happening in Germany and Japan. The Japanese rode through Myanmar and occupied these areas, and the British had tough time removing them from there. And these battles were fought on the eastern borders of our northeast areas in Manipur and in Nagaland. As a result, there was a lull in this area. And after 1919, things picked up again. But that is the time when the Communist China came to power, and their forays into Tibet was causing a lot of problems. So there was a need for the British to ensure that this area gets consolidated. Anyway, the second war started in 40s. 45, by the time the second war finished, the Communist Party was in full control of China, and they were preparing to occupy Tibet. Ultimately, they occupied Tibet in 1950. We were independent in 1947. The Britishers left with what they had done, and it was a huge problem for the Indian establishment now to continue the integration of Arunachal Pradesh with India. So they started from where the British had left. But I suppose they picked up only those things which they wanted. So this notion of leaving that area barren so that no enemy can come, leaving that area underdeveloped so that it has no value, these were considerations the first Prime Minister was having when he was deciding the fate of the northern borders himself, whether it was Ladakh or it was Arunachal. Rest is history. I won't go into the conversations that took place between Chau En-lai and Nehru. The Panchashil was brought in. On one hand, we were saying Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai. On the other hand, Chau En-lai was writing letters to the Prime Minister to say that this boundary we do not recognize because this doesn't actually follow our understanding. And there was confusion. It was only too late in late 50s, 58, 59, that India started having a look at the border and trying to do a fort posture. Troops were posted to these areas, but we were not fully prepared, and that's when the 62 operations happened. But before that, a very important incident took place. Sardar Patel, who was responsible for integrating the princely states into India after independence, realized in 1950 that since the Chinese are occupying Tibet, the area which is most sensitive, which will be targeted, was Tawang area. So he wanted Tawang to be secure. He called up the governor of Assam then, Mr. Daulat Ram, and he told him, I want a good officer to be posted to Tawang with Assam rifle troops who can hold that area and not allow the Chinese to capture these places. So what you see in this picture, this is Bob Khating. I don't know if you have heard the name. Bob Khating was a Tangkhul Naga from Manipur, from Ukhrul. Now, he was a very dynamic person, and during the Second War, he had recruited himself into the Victor Force, and he was conducting operations behind the enemy lines, getting intelligence on Japanese and so forth. And he did an excellent job where the Britishers decorated him with Order of Member of British Empire, MBE, and also decorated him with a military cross. So when an officer was required to move here, the best choice was Khating. By that time, he had also joined 2 Assam Rifles as a captain. And so he, along with 200 Assam Rifle people and porters, moved to Tawang. Now his movement to Tawang took some time, and he managed to reach that sometimes in, I think, 49, 50, around that time. Now he understood that the lamas who were holding fort in the monastery, they were being controlled by the Sonazong establishment. And he wanted to prevent the Chinese from coming here. So what he did, he went and parked near the monastery, and he carried out flag marches. And flag marches directly conveyed a message to these lamas that it's time for you to go. Then he spoke to them and he suggested to them that, look, the Chinese have occupied your state, and there is a lot of, they are actually dealing with them badly. So we would request you to consider going back to Sonazong, because we will no longer be taking instructions from Sonazong. Otherwise, the whole area of Tawang, Dirang and neighboring Gompas which were there, they were paying taxes to Tawang, which was going to Sonazong, to Tibet. So he managed to convince them. He instilled a sense of urgency and said that we will be happy if you take yourself back from here and leave these managements to us. And the long and short of it was that he managed to get them out. They were respectfully escorted back through Kinzimane. They went back to Tibet. He put the Indian flag on the monastery, and that's how Tawang became an inseparable part of Arunachal and India. This man was a dynamic person. Later on, he became an administrator. He was given administrative charge of Tirap, Changlang and Monan districts. So he was a soldier, he was a bureaucrat, he was an administrator, and in the last portion of his assignment, he was sent as ambassador to Myanmar. He is the first officer from the entire Northeast who was part of the Indian Frontier Administrative Services. So he is respected. It was last year that we honored this person by making a museum for him in Tawang and restoring the pride that he had brought to Arunachal and to Tawang both. Okay. Let's go to post-independence. Now, I have covered what has happened before. I thought it is important because this reflects on whatever was happening in Arunachal. Arunachal was still isolated. Not many people were coming. The inner line was a big hurdle. And the British left it for us. The new establishment could have removed that and, integrated these people. But they thought it was a good idea to keep it like this. And for years it remained like that. So post-independence, the Indian Administrative Services or the Frontier Administrative Services took charge. Because this was such a difficult area, nobody was ready to stay there for a long time. People who were posted there didn't have a good place to stay. There was no communication whatsoever with their families. Traveling was very, very hazardous. There were no roads. You were crossing rivers on elephants. You were moving by foot into these areas. So it was a tough act. At the same time, the locals of Arunachal were realizing that a new independence has come through and we are part of an independent India. So slowly their customs and traditions were allowing them to look at governance, to look at the way they can self-rule themselves. And that was important. So the first thing that happened was inter-tribal relationship improved. Though they spoke different languages, they could not understand, but acceptability of interacting with each other improved that time. And the political officers who were manning the forward posts and all were manned by our people. And then we created this whole area. Instead of Northeast Frontier Tract, it became Northeast Frontier Agency. It became NEFA. And it was during NEFA's time that the 62 war happened. And 62 war actually was a boon in hindsight, because it then propelled this country to bring resources to the state. Three things happened when the 62 war had taken place. Let's go to the next. The first thing was that the civilians stood by the army, helped them. They acted as guides, they carried their loads, they looked after the injured, and they displayed a huge sense of nationality. Today, Arunachal remains to be a very nationalistic state. If you go anywhere, they'll greet you by Jai Hind. They have no problems. But that's how they are. So these battles were fought mostly on the western side in Tawang, Sela, Bomdila. The Chinese came right till Tezpur. And having secured these areas, they declared and they went back to the LAC. In the central area, they got into Longju area and the upper Subansiri areas. In the east, they came into Kibutu up to Walong. The Battle of Walong was fought in November, late November, December, but that was one place that we resisted the Chinese from getting beyond that. It was 6 Kumaon and 4 Sikh who fought there. Last year, we had the occasion of celebrating the 62nd anniversary of the 62 war. And the best part was 6 Kumaon was posted in Walong. So they managed to get hold of all those families who had helped them. We honored all those families. We honored the unsung heroes. And it was a wonderful function where integration was taking place. And if I tell you with my experience, the civil, military, the civil administration, military synergy that exists in Arunachal is far superior than it exists anywhere else. Far superior. That is why when the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of Viksit Bharat started with vibrant village programs, we said Army will be a collaborator. We will do in sync with the armed forces. The first thing I was able to do when I went there, I got the Sadbhavana funds authorized for people in Eastern Command. So today, all this Sadbhavana we did in J&K is being repeated here, but with a difference. There is no appeasement. What we are doing is helping us to improve our operational positions. What we are doing, we are able to motivate the youth of Arunachal, whether it is education, whether it is health, whether it is sports and adventure. So it's a very good tie-up. Very recently, the 2 and 56 staff from 3 Corps went round getting hold of children from class 5 and 6. They got 78 children from rural schools. They trained them for 3 months to take the exam for Sainik School. We have a Sainik School in East Siang now. And I'm very pleased to tell you that 38 students got through. It's a sea change for these kids. Once they join the Sainik School, they are on a fixed line. Similarly, we are motivating them to join the armed forces. We are motivating them to join the paramilitary forces. We already have 2 Arunachal Scout battalions. We are looking at more. We are trying to see how, because when I come to the threat perspectives in the end, you'll realize that there is a problem with Myanmar and of course with China as it goes. Okay, go to the next. Now, post-independence developments, I have already talked of the Sino-Indian conflict. The frontier administration and the NEFA slowly transited to Union territory in 1972. So what was the major change? When NEFA was, after independence, was being treated like a frontier agency, it was placed under Ministry of External Affairs because it had to deal with borders and international borders. So they were trying to see how to generate the the capability of preventing anything more happening there. But soon as they got the union territory status in 72, they came under the purview of Ministry of Home. The council which was looking after Arunachal from Shillong now shifted to Arunachal itself. And the first Lieutenant Governor was Mr. K.A. Raja, who established the Raj Bhavan there. And he was the one who started dealing with the state in a proper manner. So good governance, good proper institutions, they all came up. At that time, the first elections which were held amongst themselves, there were 30 members of the assembly. Only 30 members. Though that time the number of districts were less. So it all started by giving them panchayat system. The Panchayati Raj was implemented in these states. And we took great care not to disturb the customs and traditions of the people in sync with what development was being carried out. This is a sentiment which is being adopted even now. Today, a lot of things have changed, but we are ensuring that their own customs traditions are not disturbed to the extent that they feel uncomfortable. But today, they are themselves adopting the change. And the policy which we have enunciated for them is that you are not going to leapfrog, you will be pole vaulting. They have moved from 1G to 4G. There were sports people who were just running around and playing football and small games. Today, the people of Arunachal are winning international medals in judo, karate, taekwondo, wushu. They are going good in archery, weightlifting, football, you name it. There are 16 people from Arunachal who have climbed Everest. Of them, 5 are women. And the first woman to climb Everest was a mother of 2 when she first climbed in 2011. She climbed Everest in one season 2 times. She went up, came down. After 15 days, she went up again. That was a record. 2013, she climbed for the 3rd time. And 2017, she came back to do a repeat of 2 climbs in one season. So she is the only woman who has climbed Everest for 5 times in India. It can't be a world record because it is more Nepalese porters and women who have gone there more times. But amongst all other countries, we are the only state which has the best per capita Everester. So if I say that 14 lakh people and 16 people making 16 and 420 climbs, so it comes to less than 1 per less than a lakh. Okay, this is just statistics. So the post-war administration led to NEFA, which led to the union territory being brought in. Now, what happened was that the entire administration was reconstituted. What was initially 3 tracts now became 5 or 6 tracts. So there was a Balipara tract, which included Subansiri and Kameng districts. There was a Tirap tract for Tirap Changlang. There was a Abort Hill tract, which essentially dealt with Siang district. There was a Mishimi tract, dealt with Lohit, and of course a Naga tract, which was for Nagaland. So the number of people involved in governance increased. We slowly started getting resources. There was transport, there was better health facilities. There was another very good thing that happened at the time when the union territories were just about forming was the coming of age of the Vivekanand Kendriya Vidyalayas. Now these monks came from Bengal and they set up these VKVs. Today they are outstanding schools in Arunachal, outstanding. And the government schools are trying to be modeled on that. We also have Eklavya schools and we have various other things. But the VKV students, I think 80% of the people who are MLAs or they are secretaries or anything good in that state, they are all products of VKV. So education improved. Their excitement to do well improved. Slowly we started having the first person ever to become an IAS, a bureaucrat, and so on. And the administration improved many folds. So this thing, let's have the next slide. From Union Territory, ultimately, the last governor, Lieutenant Governor of Union Territory was Mr. Ram Swarup. He was an IPS officer. When the recommendations of giving statehood to Arunachal came up, surprisingly, he said it's not a good idea. Let it be like this, we will govern them. Whereas the country was ready to give them statehood days, and he kept denying it, and he was against it. Ultimately, on 20th February 87, Arunachal became a full state. It became the 24th state of the country. And this man resigned. And the first governor was Shri R.D. Pradhan from Mumbai. And I can tell you the type of reforms he brought. He is revered in Arunachal Pradesh even today. He passed away last year, and a lot of people from Arunachal came to Mumbai for his funeral. Now, that's the type of attachment they have with you. So statehood came in 87, things started changing, more resources came, governance improved. But one thing which Arunachal lacked was that they did not have their own doctors, engineers, nurses, compounders, what have you. Because their people who were less educated had yet not reached the college state. Later on, a lot of them came to Delhi and to Pune and Bangalore, and they acquired degrees from here. But we were supported by staff from Assam, Bengal, and neighboring areas. Now, they would come with enthusiasm, but soon, because things were tough there, they would not last long. In our exuberance, from 1919 to 23, the state had opened 600 primary schools in the remote areas, in keeping with the Viksit Bharat sentiment. We had to close 600 schools because either there were no students or there were no teachers. Now, this challenge remains till today, though large steps have been taken today, and I'll come to that when I come to education part. Okay, let's talk of Arunachal today. Arunachal being a green state, we do not have any industry there. Means there is no polluting industry. Our industry is mainly food processing, hydropower, infrastructure, and that's about all. So we are now trying to upgrade this whole thing. So you will see in this graph that the GSDP of the state, if you take 10 years back, it was just about 17,000 crores. Today it is about 40-some thousand crores. We have 3 hydropower projects which are maturing by end of this year. It will give us 6,000 to 7,000 megawatts. We are already surplus in power. When we get this, we will be getting equity for putting it on the national lines. There are 13 more projects in the anvil. They are being surveyed and they will fructify in 4 to 5 years. Actually, Arunachal has a potential of 58,000 megawatts, which is 40% of the total capacity of the whole country. So when we do these 13 projects, we will be at almost 35,000 to 40,000 megawatts. Now imagine the Prime Minister has been helping Arunachal in many ways. He is very benevolent. I find a central minister every 15 days visiting Arunachal. They come and stay with me. They go to the rural areas. They go see what the projects are on. If there are problems, on the spot it is resolved. If there are funds, there is no dearth. So that's the kind of support we are getting. And with this additional hydropower, the state will earn something like 25 to 30,000 crores equity every year, which is almost 4/5 of the DSGP today. That's the kind of economic prosperity that we'll bring. The state has taken seriously towards technology, and I'm just showing you some infrastructure. What you see in the bottom left is our assembly. When the president came for the statehood days on 20th February 23, I had been sworn in for 4 days. I had not seen this assembly. When we went to the assembly to address the assembly, the president stood there spellbound. And her first reaction was, "Kitna acha hai." She says, "I have not seen a better assembly." Then the speaker told her, "Madam, this is a paperless assembly. It is IT enabled. We have a control room which records all proceedings. In 45 minutes, it changes voice into text, it edits, and the minutes of meeting are on the speaker's table within 1 hour. Every MLA has got a desktop. He can convey his message to the speaker on that desktop. He lines them up and he controls the speakers. He switches on the mic, that person speaks, nobody else. So when the Honorable President saw that, and she says, "I wish this discipline could be, taken to other assemblies." But then we are a small state, there are a small number of people. She saw some empty seats there, and she asked me, she says, "क्या बात है? लोग परेशान हैं या उनको उनकी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है? उन्हें पता था हम आ रहे हैं, लेकिन आज भी नहीं आए असेंबली में." So we smiled and told her कि मैडम, this is a futuristic assembly. आज इनके पास सिर्फ 60 विधायक है, कल 90 हो जाएंगे तो हमें इसको डिस्टर्ब करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Look at the roads which have come up. I think hats off to the BRO for doing what they have done. And they continue. Arunachal is the only state which has got 4 BRO projects. Even Northern Command doesn't have more than 2. But that is the reason that we've been able to construct so much of infrastructure there. The train services have reached Itanagar. It is connected to direct train from Itanagar to Delhi. Our airport came up in 2022 November. This has been the biggest boon for Arunachal. Otherwise, traveling to and from Arunachal was a very painful experience. We had to somehow get to Guwahati and take flights. Today, we have 1 aircraft, 1 airline. We have 1 flight every day. It is soon going to be upgraded by 2 types of airlines flying and maybe 2 or 3 flights. So it has been highly contributed by people, and I think by end of the year we should get the 2nd flight also. The Nichifu and Sela tunnels have come up. These are again marvels. The Sela tunnel was inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister last year. The weather was bad, he couldn't go there, it was virtually done. But it has shortened the route to Tawang by at least 1.5 hours. And it's one of the longest tunnels in the country. So today, the prosperity levels have increased with these kinds of infrastructure. Okay. I've been talking about, go next. I've talked to you about the hydropower. We have a major dam coming up in Siang Valley. Now, Siang Valley is the one where the Sangpo River from Tibet turns around the big hill feature called the Namcha Barua, and it glides into Siang Valley, becomes the Siang River. We are aware that China is making a huge, massive dam at the place where it turns, or thereby. This dam is going to be a 6,000 megawatts dam. It will be a multiple dam. It will have a ponding of minimum 200 square kilometers. So, being worried about what it can do, the government has sanctioned a large project in Siang equally large, if not this large, where we will have multiple dams on the Siang River, which will have, if not as much, but at least 4/5 of the ponding that it has. The reason is that if the Chinese play dirty and release this water, we can hold that water in this dam for a long time. Unfortunately, this is stuck up with people being instigated. The Adi tribes who are in Siang, they are very vociferous. So they are saying it will be a disaster to make such a big dam. We are on zonal, seismic zone 5 and so on. But we are trying to convince them that let the survey get completed. And survey will include geological survey. And if we are convinced that this will sustain, then we will make it. Otherwise, we'll find other ways. So this is in the making today. Agro products. Arunachal has turned organic almost 5 years back. Today we are going next step. We are doing natural farming. Natural farming is to be done with cow dung, and it has so many, methodologies of using that as a manure. The produce is less, but it is more. It's a better produce that you get. Raj Bhavan has become a center for propagating all these issues. So Raj Bhavan has turned natural farming. Raj Bhavan has its own dairy. We have our own poultry. We have our own apiary. We have fruit gardens. And we are trying new things. Last year I put up, we planted tulips in this area. I was told it doesn't grow. It grows. This year we plan to put saffron. Imagine if we succeed, we will give the Kashmir Valley a run for their money. What we are doing to contribute to the national economy is, we have taken a project for oil palm. The country is deficient in palm oil. We import from Malaysia and Southeast Asia. We are going in for a plantation in 45,000 hectares in various districts. The machines for extracting are also coming in. By next year, we will be fully done. Once we do this, we will be oil palm surplus. We will not have to import. We are doing plantation of rubber, 50,000 hectares. When we do that, we will be surplus for rubber and we can export rubber. Hydropower, I've already told, with that much of hydropower, we will be exporting almost 20,000-30,000 megawatts of power from our place. Food processing is an industry that we are looking at. Arunachal is the only state, I think entire Asia or Europe, which grows kiwis. Remember kiwis from New Zealand? If you go to a market and get a packet of 6 kiwis, it's got about 600-700 rupees. We produce 8,000 metric tons of kiwis. So we are looking for markets. Last year I had sent crates of kiwis to all ministers, all states, sent to all embassies. We've got a first break. We are going to export kiwis to Dubai in the LLC market. And we hope to do better than this. Similarly, we have these, you see these yellow things here. These are the mandarin oranges. They are not as big as what you get in Nagpur, but they are very sweet. 10,000 metric tons of mandarin oranges. We don't have transportation. We don't have warehouses. We don't have cold storages. That is the focus today, to do that and then be able to export it outside. We have got 600 varieties of orchids, 50, 60 varieties which are found nowhere. So the Raj Bhavan has 2 big greenhouses where we keep at least 200 varieties. We have grafted the orchids on the big trees and it grows there. So we are going commercial for orchids also. It's a very beautiful compilation of orchids has been done by one doctor, Kalpana Chawlu. She is a local, she is a botanist. And it is very promising the way we can go about it. Okay, go next. Education. As I said, the VKV schools are ideal schools for how education should be done. So as a rector and chancellor of all universities and colleges, I have spent a lot of time going around there. And we have set two very simple parameters. I have told the colleges and the schools that our aim should be to make good citizens of the students that study in our school. And what is the parameter of a good citizen? So I am announcing that to say, Shikshit, Anushaasit, Prerit. He should be educated, he should be disciplined, he should be motivated. If you can instill three virtues amongst these people, they will not only be good citizens, they'll be good leaders tomorrow. It is having an impact. The type of enthusiasm that the school children have is phenomenal. And the girls are in the forefront everywhere, whether it is NCC, it is Scouts and Guides, it is self-help. They are absolutely wonderful. We have marched on to smart classes also in some districts. We have advanced learning centers which affords 2 teachers to teach children from class 5 to class 10. So these are all technology-based systems, and they help them to do their homeworks, they help them to understand subjects better. So these are proliferating slowly. Third thing is the new education policy has been initiated in 2020. It involves education and skilling both. So the universities are geared up now to not only educate for a degree, but also skill them for certain areas where they can get jobs. There is a huge traction for MSMEs. In last 2 to 3 years, we have had almost 1,500 to 2,000 MSMEs which have come up. The government is facilitating them with funds, and we are careful in letting them choose what they want to do, because they must create jobs. So very lately, few months back, we had a tie-up with NASDAQ. We had a virtual meeting with NASDAQ and their people from California, and we have signed a MOU with them, who will be doing a great service for us to educate, train, and enable people on artificial intelligence. We had the CII people coming and promised. We have done a MOU. They are setting up a skilling institute of a hub and spoke nature, hub being Itanagar and spoke being a district. So they will not only skill our people, they will enable them to go to industries for internship. And they will also help them for placements. So what better can we expect? Being a small state, the numbers are small. So even one institute excites us. But then that's a slow progress. I'm sure we'll get there. Go to health. Health is also a major problem because of the terrain, excessive rainfall, and frequent landslides. So the areas remain dirty. Villages are not able to, clean them up effectively. And we have problems of TB. It's a lifestyle. These people, they eat a lot of red meat, they smoke pipes, and that's why this TB is prevalent. So we have taken a lot of measures to ensure that we become free of TB in another year or so. And lots of effort are being made. We have got this Nikshay Mitra. We are adopting children so that we can give them the rations and the food that they deserve. And there is a huge effort being made in the state to minimize this. We have only one medical college and hospital, the TRIMS. There are 2 or 3 civil hospitals, but we are getting another medical college. We are short of doctors, nurses. We have lovely district hospitals, but no doctors. We have GD doctors, but no specialists. So these are challenges we are facing today, and we have decided to address them within. It's an inclusive growth that is being addressed. So with this, we have doubled the quota of people who will be commissioned from this house, one medical college, and the second one is coming up by next year. So we should be able to have our own engineers, doctors, teachers, nurses, compounders. It will help the remote areas. At the same time, we have gone in for telemedicine. We have gone in for these drone didis. I don't know if you have heard this term. The women have been trained to fly the drones. And these are little bigger drones which help them to reach the medicine to remote areas from the regional areas. And they seem uneducated, but they are damn good at what they do. So this has caught on in a big way. We have also lashed up with IIT Guwahati. IIM Guwahati. So I met the director and he said, why don't we engage you also in the training that we are imparting? So virtually now, all the training that they impart to the specialists will be available to us to be seen virtually and benefit from them. We can even send some of our doctors there for specialization. The ability to conduct specific operations has also been increased. We have just had the first ever liver transplant in the state. It's an encouraging sign because it's a very, very costly thing and the poor people cannot afford it. But we are trying to see how systems can be organized where this can be done within the state itself. Okay, go next. Technology, as I told you, in a big way, we are looking at technology. Raj Bhavan is paperless. We are on e-filing. The whole state government, all departments are on e-filing. We have a central application called the Gati Shakti, on which data are sent to various ministries. And each department is now adopting technology in a big way. To add to this, whenever I have gone to the districts and interacted with people, I found that they are dealing with 20, 30 yojanas. Now, whenever I ask a question, they start opening a register. So I have now said that you need to automate your records. So we are into an automation drive, and I think another 6 to 8 months, once we automate our data at district and circle levels, the entire state will be on automation, which will be a huge profit to them. Not only the assembly that I told you, technologically it is very enabled, but all the new institutions which are coming up, whether they are universities or they are colleges or they are educational institutions, there is a huge emphasis on technology. I have suggested a few applications to the state to enable them to monitor and analyze aspects. So there is one app called the anti-drug app. There is one app which is for vibrant village. There is a third app for disaster management. And there is a fourth app which is terrain related. Now this app, these are geospatial technologies which are working on satellite imageries. We have a downlinking station in Shillong, which is available to entire Northeast for as many imageries that you want as many times. And I have been chasing the departments to say that please use this. I'll just give an example about the terrain related one. Now, once you have this app ready, secretary or a minister or anybody who's using it in his office, he just opens the imagery of the designated area and he scans it. From the menu where some artificial intelligence is, he sees the cropping pattern in his area and his focus is on poppy cultivation because that's where things are going wrong. Nobody will tell you where the poppy is growing if you go around asking. In one, he sees 10 dots, he gets the lat long of these areas, tells the police, it is taken care of within 48 hours. Similarly, he wants to see the minerals which are lying underneath. It enables you to find that. Arunachal is actually very, very, I would say, fortunate to have rare minerals there in our areas. There is oil also, there is cobalt, there are few other rare elements, And these can be prospected. Once we know where they are and what they are, it can be done. It will only add to our revenues. Other than that, we are trying to encourage the people, and I am actually encouraging the ministers and secretaries to get onto this technology hook, because if they propel it in their districts, then it spreads everywhere. Next comes the skilling. Now, Arunachal has taken a decision that they will not have any polluting industry. So manufacturing will be limited. So what we are looking at is food processing, IT, textiles, hydro. So we are only getting skilled in these areas so that our people can be employed within the state and we can manage our own institutions. So skilling is important, and the new education system creates an environment where skilling can be done and marks are awarded, and you can have a break, you can again go and you can continue. So it's a good thing. Adventure sports and adventure. Arunachal has recently been declared as the most happening tourism destination in the country. It is not yet erupted, but we are focused on infrastructure. We have all kinds of adventures. We have, you can say, mountaineering, we have whitewater rafting, we have mountain biking, we have paragliding, we have religious tourism because of the religious spots that I showed you. We have border tourism where memorials and everything comes up, and we have tourisms in every form. What we lack today, infrastructure has come up, but we lack hospitality. We don't have places where people can comfortably stay. Secondly, because of the difficult terrain and long rainy season, we need better transportation. So we are looking at these things. I think it will take a year or so more. Once it opens up, we are also looking at models. I was suggesting that we follow a Bhutanese model. Bhutan they have a tourism model which is niche. And it happens in only one small part of its western Bhutan. Rest of the central Bhutan, there is no villages, nothing. Eastern Bhutan is also far off. But there it is so well organized that any visitor who comes, he pays $200 per person per day to the government for just being in Bhutan. So we may not be able to do that, but we want to make sure that it is comfortable. And the second threat that I expect is, if we just open the floodgates, we are just 14 lakh people. If there are 2 lakh tourists who come there, we'll be overwhelmed. We don't want that to happen. We are seeing what has happened to the best tourist attractions today, Nainital, Mussoorie, Shimla. They are bursting at the seams. We have more areas and land, we won't burst, but we will be overwhelmed if we don't take it carefully. The people have come to me often and they have cribbed to me. He says, "Sir, China wala hamara naam badli kar deta hai." So they are very sentimental about this. So I was talking to the Vidhayaks and they said, "Sir, आप कोई solution बताओ, आप इधर रहे पहले, तो हम क्या करें?" तो मैंने कहा, "आप बताइए आपको क्या करना है?" पहले मैंने बोला कि इनका नाम बदली करने से आपको क्या तकलीफ है? नहीं साहब, अच्छा नहीं लगता है, रात को सपना आता है। ऐसे सपने में क्या देखता है, वो इधर उधर का नाम रखता है। अच्छा मेरे को एक नाम बता दो उन्होंने जो रखा है चाइनीज़ में। Nobody remembers. मैंने कहा वो चाइनीज़ नाम आपको याद भी नहीं है। अच्छा साहब हम भी उनका नाम बदली कर देते हैं। मैंने कहा ठीक है, निकालो नोटबुक पेंसिल, 5 शहरों के नाम लिखो चाइना में जिसको बदली करना है। They don't know. Even Beijing they don't know. So I said, you are very happy not knowing all this. तो आप इसकी चिंता क्यों कर रहे हो? But I made a suggestion to the government. I said, there is a method of showing people that we are part of this country. And I am surprised that in so many years, why Arunachal has not come on the Indian stamp. The stamps travel the whole world. Every year you take 3 stamps and first day covers. It gives your map, you can put your monastery there, you can put your tribes there, you can put your flora, fauna there, anything. But you are sitting idle and you're not trying to understand. Once we have a stamp with Arunachal on it, nobody needs to be told. They know that we are part of this country. Secondly, I said we must start mountaineering expeditions on the border. We have got good areas where we can do mountaineering, and we are fortunate to have an institute called NEMAS, which is in Kameng district in the west. We open this mountaineering to foreigners also. Let them climb those peaks, and we name these peaks as per our own thing. This will travel. They will know that this peak is in Arunachal, which is part of India. So these are small, small things which need to be taken care of, and I'm sure that this will happen soon. Ecotourism is also a very bright prospects. We have got a number of reserve forests. We've got animals and birds which are rare, only found here. And there is a butterfly trek, there is a bird trek. We have now started glacial lake treks. So these are very exciting, where anybody who comes from, big habitat, he wants some peace and tranquility, he can go and admire the nature there. The people there live with the nature, and they are very keen to keep their environment clean. We have these hornbills, which is also a state bird like Nagaland. They have a Hon'ble festival. We also have a small one. And all the tribal festivals which are celebrated are a part of the tourism. They are wonderful traditions and customs that they have. They run these for 3 to 4 days. There are competitions, games, there is quiz, there is so many things that happens. And 90% of these festivals are all aligned with the harvesting season. And today, the Honorable Prime Minister has said that all Raj Bhavans will celebrate all statehood days. It's a part of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. It's a wonderful thing that has happened. We search out people from various states whose statehood day is there. We invite them to Raj Bhavan. We treat them to a high tea. We speak about that state, and we bring similarities between that state and this state, and we thank them for being in our state and contributing. So they put up some cultural programs. Now, not all states can put it up. So what we did, we have tasked our schools that at every statehood day, they will put up 1 or 2 small events to that state. And you will be amazed if you see some of the performances by Arunachali student. If I have time, I'll show you some. We come to some success stories. Now, success stories are coming from the rural areas. What you see here are the self-help groups. Now, the self-help group concept is women of the state form groups, and they go to all the areas, whether it is food processing, textiles, it is art, culture, form. They gather these things, package them nicely, come to the bigger towns and sell them. As of now, this is what they do. And whatever profits they make, it goes into their account. So, this is a photograph of one of the villages where I had gone, and I saw all that was displayed. So I thought I must use perception management to convey a message. So what we did, they were presenting me with things. I said, no, don't give me a present, I don't need it. But they are large-hearted. I said, okay, I'll purchase everything that is here. So I told my ITC, make an account and collect everything that they have displayed, we'll pay them. So we paid about 50,000-60,000 bucks and picked up everything. They had their earnings, so we were carrying it back to Raj Bhavan. I said, no, keep it here. Then we called the Gaon Buddhas and asked them how many widows in this village, how many destitutes. We gathered them and we handed over all these things back to them. It is just perception. Mind you, this one small act set everybody thinking that we are here to help those who are underprivileged, but at the same time we are encouraging those who are putting in an effort. Now, go to the next slide. So to encourage the self-help groups, I held a meeting in Raj Bhavan. You see down below on your right side, there were 100 Lakpati Didis sitting there. So I told them I have got 1 Karodpati now, because you are all Lakpatis and you are 100 of them. You should have seen their enthusiasm. They got up and told me so many issues. ये नहीं है, वो करना है, ऐसा होगा, हमको knitting stitching भी करनी है, सिलाई मशीन दो, हम ये करेंगे, हमको market चाहिए, हम बाहर जाएंगे. It was very, very encouraging. And I had sitting with me the commissioners, the minister, the department which deals with this. So whatever decisions were taken were in front of them and they were implemented immediately. So this is a very encouraging thing. And these women have gone beyond just selling and buying. When I went to one of the Tirap Changlang districts, after the meeting with the administration, they took me to like a temple. They call it a ganging. It is a Doini Polo ganging. I wanted to see what they do in that. So there's just a photograph of sun and moon, and a priest comes and sings praises, and they all sing together. After that, I saw a lot of children sitting there, and they took me and they made me shake hands with each one of them. So I asked them, I said, "Ye kya karte hain?" So they told me they are all drug addicts. We have rehabilitated them by nurturing them. We sat with them, we nurtured them, we told them stories, we took them for a walk. Instead of just sitting and staring at the roof, they are only taken out by somebody once in a day. This was a fantastic act of theirs. So what we did, we recommended to the state to felicitate all these children and engage them so that they don't go back by making them anti-drug ambassadors of the state. Now they were tasked to go to rehabilitation centers and do what the ladies had done to them, to sit with these people, make them understand, and who better than them would understand what they go through. So it's a chain reaction now. And that is how the state progresses. Okay. Last of all, there is, go to the next. There are a lot of special schools required there because they are destitutes, orphans, hearing impaired, visually impaired. So we have gone into an overdrive to identify these. So far, they were not getting any state assistance. They were being run by NGOs or by self-help. So the first thing we did was all cultural activities in Raj Bhavan, we invite a lot of children to witness them. And children from special schools are my special guests. So they sit right in front, they make a lot of noise, they are what they are, but we treat them as special guests. And they get an identity, they get people see them, talk to them, it feels very nice. So the impact is today, the state is now opening 5 special schools at the state expense. And it will address so many of them, which is a good thing. Means what you see down below is I have celebrated my birthdays with these school children last 2 years. I think it can't be a better joy than this, to be with these children. Okay, let me come to security. I have taken a lot of time. This is something which needs, as you know, we had the 62 war. We have events which are taking place on the northern borders and western borders. So I'm focusing on northern borders with China. What happened in Galwan in 21-22 and what is happening elsewhere, I was privileged to be on almost the entire northern border. I commanded 17 Div, 4 Corps. I was in Bhutan. I have served as a major in Himachal and in Uttarakhand. So I'm having a good look-see at the behavior of the Chinese and the PLA. So one thing or two things appeal to me, that is the PLA comes with a format. It is programmed to do certain things. And all you have to do is disturb that little programming. And we have found ways and means to do it. Now, that is just a perception. Of late, there has been a lot of activity opposite 3 and 4 core, that is opposite Arunachal. Chinese, who used to be billeted far in the depth and only patrolling these areas, have now moved closer to the LAC. They are billeting their troops in that area. They are bringing their weapon systems closer because they apprehend that when things happen, they won't have enough time to build up and then do something. So there is a need, there is an imperative need for good surveillance and good determination. So there are a lot of measures that we are taking to ensure surveillance in depth. Using the satellite imageries is one. With the new generation technology in weapon system, I think in an infantry battalion now, every soldier is authorized a drone. When you go for marriages, you see a chap just put it up, takes photographs. They can do that when they are on patrols, when they are observing. Everybody has got it. So the ability to scan an area of almost 10 kilometers from the border has increased. But that is just a precautionary measure. The new generation weapon systems that have come are definitely a boon. They are better range, more lethality, and better technology, better accuracy. So that gives us a little advantage vis-a-vis our friends there. Not that they don't have it, but our things have improved over a period of time. When I was commanding 4 Corps, I had the entire Arunachal and entire Assam under me with just 4 Corps and 3 divisions. Today, there are 2 corps there, there are 6 divisions, and Assam has come down. So most of the troops are available for us at the borders. What the troops are doing today is, we are practicing intensely into deployments, into close quarter battle fights, using all kinds of formats. Before Sindoor, if you saw the excitement that was there in all border areas, even in the northeast, we conducted Prachanda Pahar exercise, which was an army air exercise. It was at a very high level. So it was just a projection for them to see that we are prepared for eventualities. So preparation is one thing. But in the long run, today what we need is a greater capability of the grey zone warfare, which is cyber, which is info war, which is autonomous weapons, which is ability to use other means than kinetic to disturb or to disrupt the enemy's methodology, disrupt his communication, disrupt his ability to acquire targets, and so on. There is a great enthusiasm today amongst the troops who are deployed on the borders. They are also trying to achieve self-sufficiency in a lot of things. In fact, the base workshops which the Corps has is not just there for repairing A and B vehicles and equipment, it is beyond that. We are manufacturing at a slow level. So the point I am making is that Chinese have always been very tricky. They are duplicitous. They don't reveal what they want to do, but they want to spring a surprise on you every time. The second thing is large borders, inability to dominate every area, and their ability now to spring a surprise even every now and then. So there is a need to have a leverage, and that leverage comes from our ability to do a quid pro quo. We have tried this in Ladakh. what was mentioned by Nitin. That is the only way you can create a leverage to settle the account. Otherwise, they come into our areas and sit there and you keep talking, and we keep talking. After about 10 days, it is the MEA which is talking to them. And this goes on for weeks, months. We did try this whole issue by quietly going into the Chinese areas, far away from where they had intruded, not letting them see us for 48 hours. And when they saw, they went, and we needled the Chinese leader, who then, they have a false sense of security, a false sense of superiority. Sorry. So they also want to tell you that we are teaching you a lesson because you do this, you do that. वो खुद करते हैं, हमको बोलते हैं. So when we had recorded all this, and he found us in his territory, he brought us digital photographs, which we showed him later on, that you came here on 13th, and this photograph is of 17th. So who's teaching whom a lesson? And believe you me, means whatever I had done was not taken very kindly at the top. They were asking my explanation, who asked you to go into that area, why did you go? The NSA told me that you are warmongers, तुम लोग अपने आप ही काम करते हो, now it is our problem. So I took an appointment with him and I made him understand things. And I told him, I said, sitting here in your office, you are not visualizing what it means to defend a line which does not exist. And it is not a small line from A to B. It is 1,000 kilometers long line, LAC, which runs from here to there. I said, imagine a Jawan standing there. What is he defending? And they have put patrolling points for us to go. These are safely put well within the area which we perceive as ours. By putting those patrolling points, the Chinese assume that that is your border. So they easily stroll into those areas. Why should we be restricted? Okay, I understand we can't have a free-for-all, but there are better ways. Today we have improved our communications, we have improved our traction, we can move into those areas faster, and this is what we are doing in East also. If you remember the incident which took place in 22, when the Chinese came to Yangtze, they came with one full battalion. There is that holy water there, and they wanted to go there to have a dip, but by doing that, they would come and sit there and say, this is ours. So, 4 Corps and 5-day was very, very alert. And you can see them coming from far off. So quickly, 2 units were summoned from the formation. They lay hidden there, and when these people came close, they quietly surrounded them and laid the concertina coil around. Now there was no escape. They kept shouting. Then these people did the famous Hon'ble parade that we know of. And they were beaten brown and black and sent back. Now you tell me, should I ask the explanation of that commander who has done this? On what basis? But this is not what you have to do every time. You have to change tack with them. You have to show them that you are equally superior and we are equally cunning. And I must tell you this little joke. This incident which happened in Depsang, I was about to retire. It happened in April, June I was retiring. And when MEA was doing all this, and I went to NSA, he says, what do you want? I said, give me 48 hours. He says, how can that be? We are discussing at national level, तुम 48 घंटे में क्या करोगे? I said, वैसे भी आपकी मीटिंग 1 हफ्ते बाद है, तो मैं तो सिर्फ 48 hours मांग रहा हूँ. नहीं, तुम क्या करोगे? I said, हम resolve कर देंगे. He didn't believe it. He gave me about 20 do's and don'ts. And the last don't was that if you succeed, you will not take the credit. I agreed to that also. And you'll be amazed to know, we didn't take 48 hours, we resolved it in 24 hours. Chinese bundled up their things, put it in the vehicles and went back. All I told the Corps commander was, put a strong shadow patrol to see they go back to where they came from. They are sitting 15 kilometers inside. If you just let them go, they'll go 5 kilometers and sit there. And you will think that they have gone and you will pull back. It doesn't work like this. We made a white paper on what we had done. We requested the MO that circulated to Eastern Command also. It must have been circulated, but what happened in 1920, 21, I wish they had seen this. Chinese came in large strengths, went into 5-6 areas, and we had problems there. So I have been touring the posts also, because I have been there before, so it's a very good connect with both the formations. We have been discussing these. We have organized security seminars in the state, one in a formation and one in a universities. I have brought the ministers there. We have brought the people from the state there to listen and to contribute. Our biggest challenge is that our civilian dwellings are 20, 30, 40 kilometers away. So I have been trying to address this issue, and I have suggested that whenever the patrols go to the border areas, we generally don't let any civilian come with us. So I said, no, take them with you. Take some able-bodied people and keep them there where you are for whatever time you stay. But what you do there is you choose areas where they can do some farming or they can graze their animals. We will then compel them to establish a temporary camp there. And every year if they go, slowly that camp will mushroom into a small village. It's a far one, but what else can you do? We need people in that area who can be eyes and ears for us. It's too long a wait. Second point is our ability with long-range vectors and technology to strike precisely, which has been exhibited during Sindoor. So that has given us a lot of confidence that we can strike at will, provided we have these systems here. So a lot of upgradation is being done in the Eastern Theatre, and I'm sure that they are better prepared than what we were before. The last point is that the Chinese, their own capability in grey zone is highly enhanced. If they want today, they can disrupt our systems. Their cyber capability is enormous. I think they have tried on doing this in Mumbai sometimes and somewhere else also. So that's a big lesson we cannot, close our eyes on. We have to find an antidote to that. And we have to find a counter capability to deal with it. So our ability to dissuade exists, but our ability to deter, like what we have vis-a-vis Pakistan, we need to develop it on the Eastern Theatre also. Logistic-wise, we have improved tremendously. And we are now saying, we have had a MOU with the ITBP for their dry rations. They are getting it in situ by the farmers there, because we have so much of food grains there, millets and rice and what have you. So they are happy to get their enumerations on the spot. The troops are happy to get good quality of food grains. We are seeing if we can put a lot of greenhouses for vegetables and fruits. Even that may be possible at certain stage. Whatever development is coming to the vibrant village on the borders, if they are getting electricity, the neighboring post also gets electricity. If they are getting water storage, we are also getting the same thing. And vice versa is also true. Communications have improved manifold. So today this collaboration is helping us to be active on the borders, to be more vigilant, to be more cautious. Dealing with China, always you have to look for new things and think out of the box. So there is a capability, we have the wherewithal, and I am sure that over the period of time, as we are learning new things, we will be able to even consolidate and improve our capabilities on the border. Myanmar is another worrisome area. Now, Myanmar, ever since the military junta took over and they removed Aung San Suu Kyi and her government, they have only been playing to the tunes of the Chinese who rotate them. The Chinese are very happy that military junta is there, they can make them do whatever they want. But the effect is, today their own insurgents are chasing the military. Our biggest problem is that all the military deployments in the Patkai Hill areas, which borders Arunachal and Myanmar, there is no army there. All these camps which are there, which were traditionally there when our insurgents like Ulfa, Bodo, NSCN, PLA, all these people used to go to these camps. The Chinese would provide them ammunition, training, radicalize, send back. Now it is their insurgents who are there. Eastern Command used to make a foray across once in a year. I asked for it, I went to NSA and asked the CDS also. And they said, sir, there is no military on the other side. Whom do we coordinate with? We can't do this coordination with the insurgents. So the only pleasing thing to the ear was, few days back we heard something. I don't know if you heard it or not, that some of these camps were attacked by drones. Who done it? We don't know. So there is a way everywhere you can find. My worry is that NSC and IM today is sitting under suspension of operations for last so many years. They have kept all their weapons with themselves. And the country has not been able to disarm them. As a result, they are running a parallel government in Nagaland. And what is worst is the southeastern tip of Arunachal is a neighboring district is Tuensang and Mon. NSC and IM people are coming into our districts. They are extorting, kidnapping, and they are interfering with the laying of the border fence, which is supposed to be laid. Manipur is opposing it, Nagalanding is opposing it, Mizoram is opposing it. We are not opposing, we want that. But these people, NSC and IM, comes from that side and they instigate our population, don't let them do Bhumi Pujan, nahi hoga, ye nahi hoga. So we are finding ways and means to do it, but we have to rein in these elements. I think some tough measures are required. They were required in Manipur also. Things are slowly returning to some kind of normalcy. They are not fully satisfied. But we cannot allow the northeastern state to slip into this mode anymore. I am suggesting to we have a Northeast Council. We have a donor ministry, Department of Northeast. It was created during Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time. It is actually activated today. Twice a year we meet. It is chaired by the Home Minister. All governors, chief ministers of states attend, and we share our problems and we find our solutions there. So one of the suggestions I had made was that we should have a Northeast Council, Security Council. Allow the Northeast to brief you on the security challenges that we have in the Northeast. Sitting in Delhi, you can formulate them. IB sends you a report. But it is the people on the ground there who understand that better than anyone else. So hopefully these little changes, if they take place, we will be able to suggest better methods to deal with these insurgent groups. NSC and Khaplang group, which operated from Myanmar, he was a Hemis Naga. I've been in Nagaland in 74, 75. We dealt with the Naga insurgents then. That time they were called the Naga Federal Government. We captured more than 200 of these people. And it ended up in having a Naga peace accord. So if we plan something, we can do it also. So the problem on Myanmar border is different type, but since it is not causing irritation at the top, people haven't addressed it in a meaningful way as yet. I feel there is a need to look at it in a more deliberate manner. I'll stop here. I think I have overshot my time. But the story of Arunachal can't be told in few words. For what is happening there today and what is destined to happen there tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for taking us through a journey of Arunachal Pradesh and for sharing such a valuable perspective on a region that is so critical for our national discourse. Now, I would like to hand over to our director for a question and answer session.
Good evening. I think we overshot the time by quite a lot. If somebody wants to ask a very pressing question, then one question is allowed.
China is interfering into Arunachal Pradesh and claiming it as their territory. So is it true, and how can it be prohibited? Thank you.
Okay, so that's an old one. As I said, when I was explaining you the whole system of how it happened, the very fact that the Tawang monastery was being controlled by the lamas from Sonazong, which is in Tibet, our ability at the British time when they were making these borders, the Chinese refused to sign on that and they don't recognize the McMahon line. That has given them a leverage to keep saying that entire Arunachal belongs to us, because they had a theory that the Tibet is like a palm with 4 fingers, and these fingers are Arunachal, Sikkim, Bhutan and Nepal. That's all rubbish. We don't agree to it. Unfortunately, at the beginning of independence, we were slightly short of taking care of these issues. I must say the British did what they could best do. If they had not started administrative actions and determination of the boundary, imagine what would have happened. So today we have to consolidate what we have. Second thing I am recommending, even while in service, I made this strong recommendation to the MOD. We need to renegotiate our treaties and protocols with China. There has to be an environment which has to be created. If at all they are serious about maintaining good relations, we should renegotiate it. What has been negotiated now is totally disadvantageous to us. And it must be done as much in our favor as they feel it should be done in their favor. That is one. Secondly, by claiming Arunachal, they don't get anything. It is either a cartographic aggression or it is just for the international community to understand. Our PR and our ability to wage a IW kind of a situation has always lagged behind. And there are ways and means how we can internationally sensitize the people that Arunachal is and will always be an inseparable part of our country. By claiming it as theirs, it means nothing. Really, it means nothing. What have they done in last 60 or 70 years? Okay, we had one war with them. Today they are in the process of becoming a world power. Their thinking was that unless we become a regional power, we can't become a world power. That is how the CCP thinks. But India is a formidable opponent. They can't just walk over us. What Americans have done in the last century, they have walked over inconsequent countries. There was no match. Vietnam, Afghanistan, and they could do nothing there. They ran away from there. If you see all the battles that are raging today, the conventional war has not finished. It is there. But how many countries are wisely using the technology to do and disrupt the way what happened we did? Our contest with Pakistan is not a runaway, we can't walk over it. It's also a nuclear state. So we have the capability. We are resilient. We are wanting to do a fair trade. We are wanting to be genuinely, coming to a place where we belong. So I don't think we should be worried what the China says. Let them say, and we should not keep contesting that at every forum because it just gives them more attention. Being silent is also an answer.
Last question.
Hello. I have two questions. One is regarding adventure sports, and the second one is regarding agriculture. Pune is a big hub for paragliding and mountaineering. And most of the people from here go to Himachal, beer building for flying, because since I am also a paraglider pilot, and others go to Nepal for mountaineering. If Arunachal can open the doors, Pune, a lot of people from Pune will go there. Secondly, regarding agriculture, from my battalion 12 MEC, 8 Para 16 Mahar, we have an officer, Colonel Subhash Deshwal, who is known as the carrot king. He grows 40,000 tons of carrot. If he could also be roped in into Arunachal, I'm sure he'll be of big help. Because he was called by the government of Myanmar as a consultant in the field of agriculture. Thank you.
I couldn't get the first question right, sorry.
So Pune is a big hub for paragliding and mountaineering, sir.
Okay.
And so a lot of people go to either Himachal or to Nepal, sir.
Okay, thank you. When I was talking of tourism, I showed you that we have the capability of doing paragliding, hang gliding, paramotor. We can do everything. The adventure people are already there. There are 3 or 4 firms who are working on it. So we will open it up moment we have the tourism ready. Today I have said that we have got capability of doing all kinds of tourism. It's only that the infrastructure is not complete. We don't have hospitality. There's no places to stay. We can't put them in tents everywhere. So it may take a little time, but it will open. And it is not just these two. I have said mountain biking, whitewater rafting, mountaineering. All this is possible. And it will happen soon. Means I assure you the way things are going there, within next year, year and a half, these things will start. As far as growing carrots is concerned, I take your point, but I was mentioning what we are doing already. 50,000 hectares of rubber, 45,000 hectares of oil palm, these are cash crops. Carrot, who's going to eat it? I'm sorry to say that, but I appreciate that he is doing something wonderful. But Arunachal is already on its way to magnify the food products in a big way. So we have plenty of targets to achieve. And since these people are not so used to eating carrots, it may not be so likable when he suggests there. But if he had said something else, maybe it could have worked. Exporting, we are struggling to export what we have. So let us first get hold of that. And moment that avenue opens up, a lot of things will happen.
Good evening, sir. First of all, I'm so overwhelmed, asking you this question. So, sir, you talk about that technology and AI also. So I wanted to know in terms of tourism, in terms of education and skilling, how adoptable Arunachal Pradesh is when it comes to adopting an AI technology or video intelligence platform to, to these departments, tourism, education, and skilling and everything.
Okay. So I mentioned to you that we are gradually going the technology way we are taking long strides. So today we are preparing our youth to get adapted to this technology, whether it is AI or it is, there are a whole lot of things there. They can be used in everything, whether it is tourism, education, health. It is applicable everywhere. So we are prepared to learn and we are prepared to implement. We are taking a little time because our development has been fairly slow up till now. We have taken I said we are trying to do a pole vaulting instead of leapfrogging. So it will happen. And I promise you that in a few years' time you will hear more about it than what is known today. So I am sure this will be an enabler. and we are finding ways how to enable it also. As I said, we are going in for applications which will help us to analyze the problems, which will help us to monitor projects. So the efficiency comes, the technology always will be at the forefront to enhance it. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. And sir, I am Y.S. Gaur from Panchvati. First of all, I welcome you on behalf of Panchvati, which is similar to your northeast, surrounded by three sides by hill and forest. I just want to share my experience of 1968. I went to, it happens, my cousin was posted in Jorhat. So we went to Jorhat. From Jorhat we planned to go to Arunachal. And I tell you how we reached there. Nemati Ghat to some Ghat, we crossed Brahmaputra by ferry. Then 2 more rivers we crossed by ferry. And after that, from North Lakhimpur up to Zero and Hapoli, there was only one transport. It was a truck converted into a minibus, half portion for carried load, and 10 seats inside. So that truck used to go in the evening up to Hapoli. And in the morning next day, used to return from Hapoli. So only 10 passengers used to travel during that time. There was a small strip at Zero. And there was a huge bungalow at the top. I remember DC was some Mr. Dugal. He was the DC that time. So now I see the sea change. You have converted the entire Arunachal into a, really, the people, those who want to join hands with you there in further development, in education. So what I see, the photographs, really entirely different. It's so just remembering what it was and what it is today. And of course, we are very happy. We thank you so much that as the pillar, as our pillar there at the forefront, our boundaries are also safe there. And Northeast, Arunachal Pradesh especially is progressing very well. And I will request all my people in Maharashtra and Pune, they should go and they should visit and they must see it now. I am the first person who is going to visit very soon now. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate all your working.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And you are most welcome to come and visit Arunachal.
I think, sir, with your permission, we will end the session here. Before we ask General Patinker to do the concluding remarks, may I also request him to felicitate the Governor with a memento of PIC.
It's my pleasant duty to give a few concluding remarks and also to profusely thank our speaker this evening for enlightening us. You will agree with me that it's been a fascinating session, although towards the end there was this little mention of having overshot the time and so on. But I'm sure most of us, and I insist, most of us, wouldn't have felt the passage of time. We were so engrossed in the Arunachal story that we just wanted it to go on. In fact, what the Honorable Governor has done for us is to open up Arunachal for us. Those of the older generation who only remember NEFA, and also those of the older military generation who served in that piece of land must have been very proud and happy to see where Arunachal is today. To give a personal experience, earlier this year, I had the opportunity with my friends, one of them is sitting right here, to visit Arunachal, and we were astounded, to say the least. Of course, it was a revisiting of that area 50 years after we were there, and it was unbelievable. Today, the roads, the class 70, which he mentioned, which meant almost like a freeway with heavy traffic, including the container trucks and that kind of traffic I'm talking about. Can you imagine? That goes well beyond Tawang. You're driving on riding surface which is like the Mumbai-Pune highway, expressway. And I'm not exaggerating. He talked about tourism, and he says very rightly that they'll have to control the number of tourists who go there because they'll be overwhelmed. The population is so little there. And let me give you just one example. When we were to go to Bumla, which is smack on the line of actual control, that's become a tourist spot. It was unthinkable when we were there last. I mean, Bumla was supposed to be, the final frontier, so to say, and the Chinese are across and so on. Today, we were advised, start early, sir, because if you're late, there'll be such a long queue of cars going to Bumla that you will be in a traffic jam. Traffic jam in Bumla? This is completely unbelievable, but this is how Arunachal is today. And I was very happy that General Parnaik came here and spared the time to explain to us how Arunachal is on a march. And a large amount of credit, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, must go to him. The story did start over the last decade, but the graph has gone exponentially high in the last 2.5 hours since he became the governor. And it was apparent. He didn't tell us, but when we were given various presentations and we saw the improvement that has taken place over the last 2 years, it was astounding, absolutely astounding. So thank you very much, sir. That's my biggest thank you on behalf of everyone present here, and not only just Pune International Center and the Center for National Security Studies. In opening Arunachal to us, he was mindful of taking us back to the medieval times, the story of Krishna and Rukmini. And he brought us right up to today, to where we are, where the Chinese are instigating and doing things which we should be mindful of. The historical perspective, the famous phrases that came in between of young husband expedition, of McMahon line, and of the line of actual control as it is today, and how we are now defending that place where the force accretion has taken place from just 2 or 4 divisions. Now we are into 6 divisional force there. Instead of 1 corps, there are 2 corps handling the same area. And having seen some of that recently, I'm convinced that the Chinese are in for a big surprise if they try any monkey tricks. In highlighting how Arunachal is on the march, the 5 things that struck me, and I'm sure they must have struck you too, is generation of hydropower. They're going to be surplus power. 40% of the total power generation in this country is going to come from Arunachal. These things are sounding like incredible, but true. The encouragement to local industry, being mindful of being, I'm sorry, Professor Amitabh Malik is not here, But this would have been music to his ear. He's an environmentalist, and no pollution and making sure that it remains so is music to those ears who care for the environment. Education and skill development was another area. Tech savvy, that was actually something that can be reiterated. The state is showing to everybody else what tech savvy means. And from a limited population to get this kind of skill development going is really challenging, but something that they've put their heart on. One more thing about when I was mentioning about Bumla, let me also tell you, there was talk of, unless we are ready for tourism, we are not going to open up. On the way to Bumla, or on the way to Tawang, I might say, we were completely taken aback by two things. Every little, there are no villages now, I think they're all little townships that you pass through. Every 10th house was a homestay with lovely flowers outside and a little board saying homestay. Look at the number of tourists who are wanting to go there, and informal tourists. They want to go and stay in a homestay rather than go in some hotel. And the hotels haven't lost sight of that. In a place like Dirang, where we used to just pass through, it was a hamlet. There are 3 hotels coming up. There is a hotel in Tawang, a 5-star hotel in Tawang, which the Tatas have set up, I think 2 years back or 3 years back. So the hotel industry is not lagging behind. Everything is happening. So this is, in fact, the key word. It's a happening state. And it's thanks to dynamic leadership like the governor is providing. Along the way, he gave us a few anecdotes, a few narratives. In fact, talking of narratives, this word has become very popular after Sindoor. And you know why. Most of us know why. And we feel that narratives is something where we need to improve. And he gave us that little anecdote, and I clubbed that as part of the narrative, as part of perception management. And that was the naming of places. When he mentioned that, we should name places and have climbers go and, discover new peaks and climb, give them Indian names. This is all part of perception management. This is how we build up the narrative. So thank you once again. This deep insight into every small aspect of making Arunachal a frontline state in not too distant future is not just fairy tale. It is something happening today. Thank you very much. I also wish to thank each one of you for firstly having come here to listen to this magnificent talk, and also the perseverance and the forbearance to sit through and ask some very fine questions at the end of it. So thank you, audience. You've been very patient. You've been an excellent audience. Thanks. On behalf of Pune International Center, I wish to once again reiterate a profuse thanks to the Governor and to you again. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for those words. I would request all of you to please rise for the national anthem before we conclude the event.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्ज्वल जलधि तरंग तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय जय हे